Okay, so just keeping along the Pilates principles, feel free to modify as usual and stop and take water breaks as needed. But we still want to think about Pilates principles, which is core engagement, core muscles or anything that attach to your spine and your pelvis. So lengthening through the top of the head. I'm going to turn to the side, but feel free to keep facing forward. We're going to do our breathing exercise. Exhale to flex the spine. This is called standing cats. I'm basically separating my shoulder blade, drawing my abs in, and I'm bending my knees as necessary because basically it is less supportive for my spine to not bend my knees. This allows a better pelvic tuck as well. Inhale, I want to lengthen and stand up as tall as you can, what we call neutral spine. Exhale, flexion or standing cat. Inhale, neutral. I gaze straight ahead. As I go into my flexion, I am going to be looking downward because that keeps my head and neck aligned with the curve of my spine. Basically looking at my knees. Inhale, lengthen. And one more time, exhale. Now this time, instead of coming to neutral, I'm going to go into extension. So a little bit of an arched back. All right, lifting the chest a little bit more, feeling my shoulder blades squeeze together. Exhale, flexion. Inhale, extension. So going beyond neutral. Exhale. And inhale. One more time. Exhale. And inhale. Good. Now we're coming into our neutral again. And we're going to do a knee lift. And when I knee lift to about hip heights, what you're trying to avoid is where the hips kind of lose sort of engagement in your hip muscles and you just sort of sink into your joint. So we're trying not to sink into the joint. That actually makes me lose my balance. So we want to march nice and slowly. Let's hold our arms out for balance, which engages our shoulder muscles to hold our arms at parallel. But we don't want to shrug those shoulders, so we don't want to keep those neck muscles engaged. So you can see that I am shifting side to side, but I'm not shifting into my hip. All right, and then from the side view, I'm keeping my abs drawn in, keeping the chest lifted. So what I'm not doing is rounding my spine and dropping my chest. Okay? Just a few things to keep in mind as we continue thinking about alignments and length, keeping our Pilates principles in mind. Good. As you do this, you want to move slowly so that you have a strong sense of balance. So the reason I put my foot down is because I chose to put my foot down, not because I was losing my balance and I had to put the foot down. And it's okay if you lose your balance, right? Like part of this challenge is that we're practicing it, we're working on it. Now I'm going to have you take the hands behind the head. This is one last little bit of balance, is to add a little rotation. You don't need to rotate a lot. And be careful where you're looking, because if you're glancing all around the room, you might lose your balance. So you can still keep looking at a dot that's mostly in the front, even as you rotate. You're taking your head with the spine, but that doesn't mean you don't have peripheral vision. It's called spotting, spotting the wall. Good. Now the arms, the elbow, you're not going to pull it forward. In fact, think about pulling the arm back. So as I rotate, I pull this elbow back. And as I rotate to this side, I pull this elbow back. Okay, so this looks slightly similar to the bicycle crunch we do in the ab series. Good. This rotation does add a little balance down to it, but it does work on our obliques and wakes up our spine muscles and kind of help warm up the body a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and take it down to the mat. Now I am going to crawl down on my mat on my wrist, but feel free to go ahead and just sit down on the mat if you have any wrist sensitivities. So I'm just going to peel my head away from this imaginary wall, and then my shoulders, my spine, the rest of my lower back. This is a nice stretch here. And I'm just going to walk it out into the plank. And at this time, you can go onto your elbows for a plank. or stay on the wrist, and take 3 breaths, keeping those glutes nice and engaged, abs nice and tight. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and one more breath in and out. Good, pulling the knees forward, and go ahead and have a seat. I'm gonna roll down here. And breathe, inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Go ahead and imprint that lower back. As you continue to breathe, and lift the legs up to tabletop. Imprint here, lower back, down to the mat. Exhale to lower leg, inhale to lift. Keeping the knees at 90 degrees. Now we're on to more familiar territory of our warm-up. Exhale to lower, inhale to lift. One more on each side. And then lowering all 10 toes. Making sure you don't lose the imprint. So exhale to lower, inhale to lift. Remember, you don't have to take the toes all the way to the ground, especially when you're lowering both legs. It is more challenging to maintain imprint here. Last one. Yeah, allow the heels to drop and place the feet a distance apart. Roll on up into the shoulder bridge. Lifting one vertebra at a time. Inhale at the top. Exhale, slowly roll down inch by inch until that tailbone's on the floor. Inhale, exhale, press through the heels, squeeze the butt. Reach those knees away from the shoulders. Inhale, exhale, roll on down. So focusing a little bit on spine mobility here. Rolling up 1 inch at a time. That last one. Going to add prep. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift head, neck, and shoulders. Look at your knees. Inhale, hold. Exhale, roll. Back down. Inhale. Exhale. Using your abdominals, using your breath to help lift the head, neck, and shoulder blades. Looking toward the kneecaps, tucking your chin as you lift the head and shoulder blades. You want to protect that neck. Actively reach with the fingertips toward the toes. We'll do a little bit of combo exercise here. Before we go into our hundreds, I'm going to have you lift your legs back to tabletop. Squeeze those knees together. Good. So we're going to do this kind of slowly, but take a breath in. On the exhale, lift the head, neck, and shoulders. Hold it there. Lower the legs as much as you like. Return to tabletop, and then lower the shoulders and head. Lift the head and shoulders. Tap the toes. And that's our combo. Keep alternating the breath. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. So lifting head, neck, and shoulder blades, lowering those toes, lifting the leg, and then lowering head and shoulders. And go at your own pace. Pilates is not something we want to rush through. Good, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Take a break if you need. I'm going to lift my head, neck, and shoulders. Then we extend the legs. Now you can extend the legs all the way vertical, which gives your hamstrings a little stretch, or you can extend it on the diagonal. So crunch, extend, bend, and lower head and shoulders. Crunch up, reach with those fingers, extend, bend, and lower. God, we're trying to stay imprinted without lower back. Crunch up, extend, return, lower. Let's do it one more time. And then next time we're going to stay up for the hundreds. So you can keep your knees bent for hundreds if you like, have it vertical or on the diagonal. So crunch up, put your legs to where you want them, and start to pump. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 10. Inhale. Exhale. 20. Inhale. Exhale. 30. Inhale. Exhale. 40. Inhale. Exhale. 50. Inhale. Exhale. 60. Inhale. Exhale. 70. Inhale. Almost there. Eyes on the knees. Legs nice and straight. 90. Inhale. And exhale. All right. Bring those knees in. Come to your stomach for our spine warm up. The forearms on the ground. Legs apart but active. Inhale to lift the top part of your chest. Keeping the chin tucked, head and neck aligned with the spine. I know I sound like a broken record, but we always want the head and neck aligned with the spine, and not necessarily the entire spine. Right now your spine is curved, it's in an extended position. You want your head and neck in line with your thoracic spine, so the top part of your spine. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower, lift, and lower. If your quadriceps and leg muscles aren't already active, go ahead and get them active. We know they're still on the ground. Just reach those arms back and lift all 4 limbs straight and sort of to the back diagonals. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. You always want to think length over lift, length over height, I guess I should say. So you're reaching the top of the head forward, you're reaching fingertips and toes to the back of the room, and just lifting an inch or 2 off the ground is enough to take the weight off your limbs and challenge the muscles of your spine, the muscles around your spinal column. Last 2, and last 1. Good. Get into your stretch, rounding the spine, doing the opposite of the spine extension we just did. And then come to sitting, where we're going to revisit our neutral spine and our flex spine. So once again, you want your shoulder muscles engaged, right? This is shoulders completely relaxed. Shoulder muscles engaged, but we don't want to shrug. So we don't want those neck muscles straining here. Exhale, flex, inhale to neutral. Keep those toes anchored down into the mats. Adding some arm variations, which you can skip. We're going to do single arm, double arm. So for single arm, I'm going to reach one arm to the side. Other one stays forward. And then the other arm. So no rotation, just reaching arms to the side. And then when I do the double, that was single, single, now the double. I'm going to take the arms to the side, no rotation. When both arms go out to the side, it is more challenging to the abs. So you absolutely can decide how far back you want to bring those arms. With single, you might go as close to the plane of your body. This is the plane of my body. I don't go behind, just the plane. And then with both arms, I might not go close to that plane. I'm not going to go this far. Oh, it's too much. All right, let's try one more round. Single arm. Inhale, exhale, other arm. And last time, double arm. Good. And let's roll all the way down, one vertebra at a time. Good. So we're going to do our full roll up. I've shown many variations. You can start from tabletop, extend the leg, you start from the floor and extend the leg, or you keep both legs straight. So for today's variation, I'm gonna have the foot on the floor, and then I'm just gonna shoot it out straight, engaging the quads in the process. So quads are not engaged when the knees bent. However, my straight leg, the quads are engaged. I'm gonna reach, inhale, roll themselves up. When I feel like I'm gonna get stuck, which is right around here, fire those quads, shoot the heel out. The one bent leg joins the other leg as we dive for our hamstring stretch. Good, inhale. As I start to roll down, place the spine down one vertebra at a time, and I drag the other heel in. Good. So I know when I'm going to get stuck, so I'm going to, start to shoot that leg out when it's at the right time. Inhale. Exhale. So that it's a smooth flow when I roll up. Inhale as I start to roll down. I'm not going to immediately drag my heel in, but when my lower back hits the ground, I can start to drag my heel in, and I place the shoulders and head down. Inhale. Exhale. Reach as far forward as you can. Take advantage of that stretch. Inhale, start rolling back. Exhale. Drag the heel in. Oh, my pants are falling off extra early today. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to do 2 more after this, one on each leg. Or if you want to keep both legs straight for the roll up, and keep both legs straight. Legs stay active. Heel stays heavy on the floor. Last one. All right. Readjusting those pants as needed. And go into the single leg stretch. The stretch, remember, you can go at any diagonal you want. The higher diagonal, a little less work to the imprints. The lower the diagonal, the more challenge to the imprints. Head and shoulder blades can be on or off the ground. Exhale, reach, inhale, switch, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now before we move into the bicycle, I'm gonna do a variation of the bicycle, which is that we're not going to rotate. We're gonna stay and favor one side. So I'm gonna pause here. My front leg is gonna be bent. I'm gonna take my hands behind the head. I'm gonna rotate like I'm doing the bicycle, but I'm gonna come back to center. Exhale. So normally I'd be going side to side, but I'm gonna keep going to the same side, then center. Same side, then center. 4 more times. Exhale, inhale, center, exhale. 2 more times. That straight leg is strong and straight. Last one. Okay, now we switch. Rotate to the back. Exhale for 8. Inhale, center. Exhale for 7. 6. Trying to keep the shoulder blades off the ground. 5. Even when you do regular bicycles where you're constantly rotating side to side, you are trying to keep shoulder blades off the ground. 2. And 1. Good. Go ahead and release that neck and shoulder blades. Coming into your double leg stretch, reaching to any diagonal you like. That's challenging for you. So you can have the legs lower than the legs at a lower angle than the arms if you want. And if you would like, lift the head, neck, and shoulder blades. Exhale, reach. Inhale. Give me 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Scissors. We're going to do a double pulse scissor. So it's what I call the split further. switch, split, split further. So you have your initial split, and then you can go a little further before you switch. So think 2 exhales. Inhale, exhale, exhale, like a staccato exhale. Inhale, inhale. Think, reach further. One leg is reaching that way, the other leg is reaching up. Last 2. Last 1. Good. Break. By break, I don't mean we just lay here and do nothing. We actually come up into our stomach, give our abs a break, and work on the spine. We're going to work on our salutes. So again, we're going to start with the feet on the legs on the ground, but try to keep them active. They are apart. Hands are going to be stacked under the forehead. We're going to inhale to lift the upper body. Salute with one arm to the diagonal. Arm straight. Return it and lower. Let's do it with the other arm. Lift arms and chest. Salute with the back arm. Back to the forehead and down. So when you lift with your arms as well, it is extra resistance and work for the spine. Again, don't worry too much about how high you're lifting. You should be able to feel the work the moment your arms and chest come off the ground. Lift, reach, return, and lower. Keep those legs active. Even though they're still on the ground, we're going to add them after this one here. Good, so now lift chest, arms, and legs. Reach front arm straight. Return, lower everything. Lift, reach the back arm straight. Again, it's only a diagonal, kind of like a Y, if both arms are moving. And we are going to move both arms after we do this last single arm to the back. My front arm, my back arm, but we're now going to do both. All right, so your legs are apart, kind of like in a upside down Y or an upside down V. And then our arms are going to form like a V. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach. This is a little more challenging, right? Because when both arms extend, it's a little extra weight on the extended lever. Inhale. Exhale. Now our palms in or palms down. It doesn't matter. Do what works for you. Just make them symmetrical. So you don't want to have one palm in and one palm down. Do a couple more. I'm really trying to keep my chest and head all at the same height while I lift my arm, extend my arm to return them, right? In the process of extending my arms, I don't want my head to lower down, you know, like your spine lost its ability to keep the chest up at the same height. So, you know, we're working on chest endurance, basically. Go ahead and sit back for that stretch. This should feel like a pretty nice stretch considering you just, you know, work these muscles a lot. And the reason why we baby our spine muscles is because we don't often work it. You can get pretty fatigued here. Let's get into our shoulder bridge position, feet hip distance apart. Getting rid of that articulation, so just pushing the hips straight up, lifting the entire spine up into the shoulder blades off the ground, and then placing the entire spine on the ground. So this is our basic shoulder bridge and or hip bridge. Feel free to get the arms down. If you'd like a little different kind of challenge today, we're gonna lift the arms up. It's like, oh wow, you don't have the stability of the arms on the ground. Yeah, you do feel slightly less stable, but hopefully it's not too unbearable. But what's gonna feel really challenging is when we lift the leg. So if you want to put the arm back down on the ground when we lift the leg, go right ahead. And by the way, if I lift my back leg, you would want, if you want to keep at least one arm lifted, you would put the back arm on the ground because the back arm replaces the back leg. All right, so it wouldn't be like this. I mean, it could actually. There's no wrong or right. You might feel less stable though. right? You might feel less stable. And of course, this, both arms off the ground is definitely a little unstable. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. So I have my back leg lifted. That means my front glute is doing all the work. For now, let's focus on the lift of getting both the right and left hip off the ground at the same time and not worry too much about the leg. So again, keeping it tabletop. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Good. So now I'm going to add a variation of, actually, let's give this leg a break. Let's do the other side. And then we'll add the straight leg variation. And if you want to do this for the second set, keeping the legs bent at tabletop, then go ahead and repeat when we go for round 2. Exhale, lift. Lower. Now when my arms are up, I'm not trying to reach up. My shoulder blades are still on the ground, so I'm not protracting, okay? So that's something you want to keep in mind, is that your shoulder blades are almost kind of pressing down to the floor to give yourself that stability. The shoulder blades are on the ground, even as your arms are up. Okay, so let's switch again. I want to just show you the leg position before we lift our butt. We're going to extend the leg, circle it down, and then return. So up. So kind of an exaggerated bicycle, if you will. So let's try that with the butt in the air. So aim for the hips to be the same height. Feel free to put the arms back down at any point. So you straighten it, circle, and pull in. Doesn't have to be anything sort of perfect. I'm kind of going vertical to about the 45 degrees, and then I pull in. So 45 degrees and pull in. Vertical, 45, pull in. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Or if you prefer to exhale first, go ahead, that's fine. As long as you're breathing, you know I'm happy. Give me one more. There's a lot of endurance here. While this leg is having some fun, this leg that's on the ground is doing a lot of work just to stabilize. All right, let's break. Let's break. And again, you can choose what you want to do with the arms. Remember, if your arms are lifted, the shoulder blades need to be down on the floor. You should be able to feel the shoulder blade on the floor. One more thing I want to mention is sometimes when our arms are lifted, we might feel nervous about falling. And so suddenly we like really strain our neck. So if you find that you're straining your neck a lot, first of all, try not to. But if you find that you keep doing it accidentally, then maybe you want to put the arm on the ground, because I don't want you to have too much extra neck strain. Bicycle, one-legged bicycle. Reach, circle, reach, lower, pull. 2 more. Reach, lower, pull. Last one. Reach, lower, pull. Good. All right, I hope that made sense what I said about the neck. You don't want to be pushing heavily into the head to like anchor the shoulder blade or to make up for the fact that your arms aren't there any longer. All right, if you can lay on your side. Whew. You want to lie on exactly the side seam, so you feel a little unstable. And then put some fingers down here. There's no rotation of the legs, so both kneecaps and all 10 toes are facing forward. Really reach both legs, quads are engaged as you lift the top leg to about parallel. What I will say here is that we often forget about our abdominals being engaged. So if you ever need to remind yourself, you can float a hand away. That'll definitely wake up your abs. Just keep alternating the breath. So you can inhale to lift, exhale to lower, or exhale to lift, inhale to lower. Small circles, 6 in each direction at hip height. Slow and small. Small and slow. Slow is the key, really. I mean, you can make it a little bigger if you wanted. Make it too big, you won't feel it in your muscles anymore. Keep alternating the breath. Constant breathing in and out. Reverse for 8. Sorry, we're doing 6. 6, 5, 4. I already feel it. 3. If you need a rest, take a rest. If you don't need it, keep that leg at hip height. Bend the knee, flex the foot. That's called knee flexion, foot flexion, hip flexion, and then extend and point. Actually, if you want to keep it flexed, you can too. I'm actually keeping my foot flexed. The foot's cramping a little bit. So it's like someone is coming toward me and I'm going to kick them away. Now don't kick too high, but about parallel. And notice my knee is not coming lower than my hip. I'm really trying to focus on keeping it at exactly hip height. Bend and extend. Bend and straighten. Flex and extend. All different ways of saying the same thing. So this is a squat pattern, right? It's like you bend your knees, you bend your hips, flex your hips when you sit down, and then when you stand up, that's what happens. Straighten your legs. This is like a horizontal squat. I'm going to have you do that same sort of cycling motion we just did. And I know you might need a little bit more kickstand in the hand, but if you have any wrist sensitivities, just bend your knee, the bottom leg that is, and you won't have to rely on your wrist as much. So this is the bicycle again. So you go, so all this is being really challenged, your outer thigh, because we haven't let the leg down. So this entire time it's been up at hip height. That's why it's so tiring. But kick as far forward as you can, circle it down, bend the knee. Again, this is just like what you would look like if you were riding a bike. I'm going to straighten my leg. It's an exaggerated bike ride, right? Because normally you would just be right here. Very small circle. Like nobody rides the bike, you know, kicking their leg all out. The leg might go a little bit behind you, but not too far behind you. Because if you go too far behind, you're going to fall back. All right, so you really want the stability here. So the most exaggerated bike riding you can with one leg without losing the stability. You want to stay on your side. Your abs are doing some work. Your hand is doing some support. And then you should just feel it in your outer thigh. All right. Let's do the bottom leg, which is inner thigh. So let the top leg rest. Just let it rest. Get it out of the way. You don't need your kickstand hand anymore. Lift the bottom leg as high as you can. You don't have to restrict how high your bottom leg goes because basically your top leg restricts it. Just go as high as you can until you're obstructed. Now, little circles, 6 in each direction. I feel my inner thigh more when my foot's flexed, so I just pretend there's an ink smudge on my heel, and I draw those circles on the far wall. Reverse for 6. Leg as straight as can be. Okay, we're switching sides. Bottom leg doesn't have as much fun. It's a little restricted in movement, so we can't do like the bottom leg bicycle. I mean, I guess you could, but it'd be hard. Also, you're rubbing your bottom leg on the floor, so that friction would feel great. So find alignment again, using the edge of your mats. Kickstand. Extend both legs. I'm pointing my toes here. You can always keep your foot flexed. Okay, if you want to really feel your abs, take your hands off for a brief moment. All right, coming to mostly parallel, right? Like give or take a couple inches. And now Find that parallel and circle for 6. 5, reaching constantly. Constantly, the toe is aiming to touch that wall down there. I know you can't see your toes. If you can see your toes, it means your head's out of alignment. So you gotta just feel that your leg is straight, your toes are pointed, and your leg is fully lengthening. Reverse for 6. This is the time it starts to get really challenging and your outer thigh starts to feel very fatigued. That's what we want. Take a break at any time and then just jump back in. We're gonna do our bend and extend. Bend the bottom knee if you need to. Bend, extend. So my bottom knee bent, I really don't need my kickstand hand. But you will also feel your abs more if your leg is straight, your bottom leg is straight. The bottom knee bending just gives a little support for the abs and support for the kickstand wrist. Our leg has been off the ground at parallel for a while now. So it's that outer thigh is really starting to feel fatigued. Try to stay with it as long as you can. Rest is needed. Jump back in. We're going into the exaggerated bicycle. Forward. Circle back. Bend. Again, I just call this the exaggerated bicycle. Don't feel like there's a super right and wrong way. I just want you to reach your leg forward and then down and then start the cycle over again. But instead of keeping your leg straight by swinging it forward, I have you bend your knees to kick it forward. And that's kind of all it is you kick it forward, sweep it down straight, bend the knee, repeats. And we don't cycle backwards. Thank goodness, I always feel uncoordinated when I cycle backwards. All right, last 2. Okay. Oh my gosh. Let's get that bottom leg straight, which it should have been already. Of course, I wasn't. And I'm going to flex my foot. And there's no rotation, remember, so it's, if you see kneecaps, a parallel foot. Make that circle as high as you can for 6. 5. It might not look like a perfect circle, and that's okay. The point is it's like you're staying constantly lifted. Reverse for 6. As usual, I'm counting very imperfectly. 4, 3, 1. All right, good. Oh, we're going to revisit that in a little bit. I'm going to have you do, so this exercise, which we already did, in addition to being glute work, it's also a stretch for the hip flexor. I'm actually going to have you do a combo hip bridge leg extension. So I'm going to lift up the hip, drop it back down, brace the abs and imprint the lower back, float the feet off the floor. So that's probably one of the more challenging parts, is using your abs to float the feet off the floor. And then from here, crunch. So this is the 100th position. Return, place the feet back on the ground, about hip distance apart, and hips go up again. All right. Go slowly. Legs to tabletop. Prep for the 100. Right back down. This works a little bit on your memory and coordination. Working on the sequence of events.
focusing on one step at a time. It's not about rushing through it. Like, oh, there's 5 moves in this. I'm going to do it as fast as I can. Think of each step. Legs to tabletop. Extend straight. Fire up those quads. Reach with those arms. Flatten that belly. Pull it back. Slowly lower. Feel your glutes contract as you push into the heel. Keep your butt engaged as you lower down. Abs engaged. Float the legs up. Good. When you do things with control and purpose, then you feel the muscles more. We already did the hundreds. Who wants to do it again? Nobody. I agree. I don't want to do it again. But we're going to do a variation of it. So a little flutter. Feel free to bend the knees a little bit if you like. A flutter can be up here. It can be bent knees here. Or if you want a lot more challenge here, all the way down to here. Okay, but the important thing is that your lower back is imprinted. All right, so I did too much demonstration. I gotta take a break. When we go up next and straighten the leg, we're gonna go into the flutter. For 50 counts. Yeah, I know. Lift. Again, one of the reasons I do this here is because we're stretching the hip flexor out. And then we engage the hip flexor. And now here we go, flutter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're only doing 50. We're not counting 100. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I counted the same as I did for hundreds. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I'm no metronome. All right, let's come over onto plank. So we did a plank earlier on the wrist, so I'm going to do a plank now on the elbows. And I normally say planks, don't have your butts in the air. But this time we actually do want to go into our butts in the air. And how do we get our butt in the air? We use our abdominals to pull up. First, let's find the plank. So elbows underneath the shoulders, toes tucked under, quads engaged. Now imagine there's someone decided to burn a candle underneath your belly button. And you can't just like get away from the candle. So you pull your abs up and you try to get away from that candle. You draw your abs up. Oh, candle went away. Let's go back to the plank. Once again, pull those elbows up and pull those abs in, lift the hips. So basically you want the hip lift to be initiated by the abdominals. You also get kind of a nice little shoulder stretch. And try not to round your spine. So try to kind of keep your spine in neutral if you can. 2 more. Inhale here, exhale, draw up and in. And return. Good. So that's an exercise that not only works your abs, but also gets into your shoulders. All right. We're going to do some rolling like a ball variation. So rolling like a ball is exactly the sound. You have to have a round spine, a curvature like a ball. Roll onto the back of your shoulder blades. And when I say roll, I mean allow gravity to take you back. And then once gravity takes a hold of pulling you back, tell yourself, oh, I changed my mind. And I use my abs to crunch my way back up. So those same abs you use when you're here, crunching like this, is the same abs you use to get back up. Inhale, fall. Exhale, crunch. Right yourself. Get yourself upright. Hold on to your shins. There's no straightening of the knees or anything. You're staying in the same ball position, right? If anything, you deepen the curve of your spine. That is the only movement. I deepen the curve to fall. I deepen the curve of the spine to crunch. adding the leg extension. So grab behind the hamstring, extend the leg, bend, roll, extend the other leg. So what does it start to look like? The teeth, right? Yeah, the teeth and rolling like a ball are very closely connected. Let's do single leg extension. One more time on each side. So even though I'm not grabbing my shins now, I'm not letting my legs go crazy. My legs are staying where they should be staying, in that same position. We're gonna extend both legs. Inhale, rock back, exhale, open leg rocker. So my legs are apart. You can keep them together, that's up to you. Roll like a ball. Pause. What's going on with your shoulders? Let's try to keep them relaxed. Inhale, exhale. Would you like to try it with your legs straight? It's the same principle. You rock back, and the only thing that changes is you deepen the curve of your spine. Deepen the curve here, crunch here. You can do anything in between. If you pick your legs to be here, here, or here to start, then it stays that way for the entire roll. All right, so it's not like I start here, I kick my leg straight, and I bend again. All right, that is the one quick way to bypass your abs. So if you want to have a mostly straight leg, then hold it at that mostly straight leg position. And if you want your leg straight, you hold it at the straight leg position. And that's, oops, I didn't make it up. Which, by the way, is not a big deal. You just use your abs more. All right. Okay, and that segues into the teaser, which we're all familiar with. If we're here, we're doing that same crunch position. And we know we get stuck here, so we have to extend the leg out. It's the same muscles, same ending, here, right? And instead of rolling back and coming right back up, we roll down and we stay down. And that's sort of the main difference between a teaser. And it's also very similar to the roll up. So a lot of Pilates exercises all sort of help with one another. Inhale, exhale. We won't do too many of these. I know your abdominals should be pretty tired from the rolling like a ball, especially if you did it correctly. Now I will say that sometimes rolling like a ball, we accidentally use too much momentum. In that case, we don't feel our abs because we use too much momentum. But it takes, over time with practice, you get a better awareness of your body. And so you're able to control that momentum and bring focus to working your abs. All right, let's do one more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Good, I just want to finish with some spine work, spine stretches, which we normally do cat-cow. And I just want to do the cat-cow again, standing. All right, so from the side view, we're going to bend into the knees. Tuck the tailbone under, so this is the tuck. Head and neck is aligned to spine, so I'm not going to look up here, right? And then I'm going to come into neutral, and then beyond neutral is the extension. So really proud of my chest, reaching the arm back, shoulder blades squeeze together. And I'm not looking up at the ceiling because that's going to stress my neck out. My chest is about, facing a higher angle. So my head and vision is going to match where my chest is. Bring it back. Exhale. Inhale. And you can push your hips forward a little bit, as long as it doesn't hurt your lower back. But most of my extension is from the top of the rib cage. So less from my pelvis, okay? And that's gonna be very individual. Here my pelvis is obviously involved. Chest extension without pelvis, and then with pelvis. Hope you guys can see the difference there. And this would be flexion without too much pelvis, but my legs are mostly straight. When I'm tucking my pelvis,
I do have to bend my knees.
Anyways, that's just a variation of the cat-cow. It's the vertical cat-cow. So thanks so much for joining. Let me know if you have any questions.